Welcome to the Houndsman XP Podcast. I'm your host, Chris Powell, and with me is my co-host, Steve Fielder. This is Podcast Zero, and we're going to explain what we plan to do with this podcast. So the characters you're listening to here have a combined experience with houndsmen across the United States, and especially with Steve. He's a published author, writing a book called Gone to the Dogs. He also is a monthly columnist for American Cooner magazine. And Steve probably knows more houndsmen across the United States than Jesus. So I don't know. I'm not kidding. Yeah.
Well, hey, you're putting me in pretty important company there, and you know what happened to him. So
yeah, we don't want that to happen.
Make a different reference next time. Okay.
All right, I will.
Chris.
I won't say that again.
How are you, Chris?
I'm good. Hey, Steve, why don't you just talk about your involvement with houndsmen for the last half a century?
Well, I think it's been that long, Chris, for sure. Very privileged to have had a life's work involving hounds. And that's what this podcast is all about, is hounds and hound people. Started out, with my dad, as most kids my age did, and was able, through good fortune and the good Lord's grace, to make a 33-year career of working with 3 different registries, UKC, PKC, and AKC, in the field operations departments, setting up and operating thousands of coonhound events across the United States, working with magazines like Coonhound Bloodlines and Pro Hound, and all that entailed. And so I've been incredibly blessed to make literally thousands of friends across the United States. And it's just a great opportunity for me to be able to talk to those friends through this medium of podcasting.
Well, that new medium in podcasting in the 21st century, whether we like it or not, people are into convenience, and this podcast is going to allow us to unite houndsmen, hound issues from across the United States, bring it right into their mobile devices in the form of a podcast, and do things to unite houndsmen across the United States, because we've got to have something that's going to bring us together in this hound sport, or we're going to lose it. So I know through your work, Steve, as an author and a writer, you're interviewing a lot of people every month right now just for your articles, right?
That's right, Chris, and that's probably one of the greatest fringe benefits of being a writer, is the people that I get to write about. And in the hound sports, as we know, there's a lot of characters. It's almost like diving back into the history of the Old West, where you have you have your good ones, your bad ones, and your ugly ones, but most of them are good people with good stories to tell. And the history of our sport is so rich. It goes, as we often say, all the way back to George Washington and the colonists that brought hounds to the New World from Europe, and follows right up to today. And there's been a lot of rising stars along the way, both people and canine, that I enjoy writing about.
And there's been some flash in the pan types in our sport too, names that a lot of people would recognize, but maybe they didn't stay in the limelight. Maybe they made an impact in other places, and we're going to try to capture that through this podcast, right?
Sure. The better known names have had lots of publicity over the years, but we often say in this sport, for every good dog that we see on the major stage, there's probably a dozen or more tied behind the barn across the United States that are just as good and just as worthy as the recognition, we hope to root out some of them along the way too, as we venture down this podcasting road.
Well, just in our conversation, Steve, I've heard you talk about and mention names of people that I've never heard of, but when you mention their name and then the dog that they were involved with, then you're putting kind of a face to that name. And most people, including myself, don't realize that I may have never seen them on the cover of a magazine or seen their name in the winner's circle in recent times, but we can't overlook the impact that these people have had. And also, we've got to talk about the hunters out there that are putting these hounds in the woods every day on their preferred game and keeping those legacies alive for those breeders that are working hard, right?
That's true, Chris. That's come to light in my own experience lately as I think about these Western hunters, and I think you've been largely responsible for opening my eyes to that. I've hunted in the West. I've hunted bear in several states out there, New Mexico, Arizona. I've hunted in Wyoming, not for bear, but for coon.
Right.
But there are a tremendous number of houndsmen and houndswomen out there that use their dogs either for sport or in some cases for their livelihood.
Yeah, they're earning a living with some of those hounds.
Exactly. And these people are very serious about breeding and about selecting dogs to introduce into their bloodlines that will improve their ability to catch the game that they're after. And so those are the kind of people that I'm looking forward to reaching out to. I'm very fortunate to write for a couple of magazines that give me the freedom to go out and find these people. I write for American Cooner each month, and I've been writing an article called America's Choice about the Treeing Walker Coonhound. And there's just so many important people and hounds down through the ages. I've been fortunate to write about several of them already, and there's an endless list of candidates out there. I think of the dogs I've written about, House's Lipper. I've written about Hardwood Bozo. I've written about the Schooner River dogs of Mr. Aarons in Mississippi, and recently about the Riverbend Flag dog and Kent Spencer over in North Carolina. And for every one of those people that are recognizable immediately by most hound people, there are literally hundreds more that we can talk to and that we can bring their stories into this podcast. And I'm really looking forward to that. And then writing for Bear Hunting Magazine, and I think you and I have discussed it, we want to have Clay Newcomb, the editor and publisher of Bear Hunting, on our podcast at some point.
Yeah.
And Clay has opened a whole new opportunity for me to write about the legendary bear dogs that have lived down through the ages, and many of them have never been heard of because they weren't entered in a competition type event. But nonetheless, they were amazing hounds that did a tremendous job and left a legacy that their owners and those that hunted with them will never forget.
Well, podcasting definitely gives us the opportunity here and the avenue to make our world smaller for the average houndsman out there. I can't tell you how many hours you spend driving roads and looking for tracks when you're big game hunting, and it gives the Western houndsman an opportunity to have something to listen to. As you're coming back from a competition hunt this week, the Super Stakes is over in Sullivan, Indiana, and people from all over the United States are gathered in Sullivan, Indiana, and they're going to drive home. Some of them are driving home today because they didn't get in, but some of them are driving several hours home. And I know when I'm on the road, I'm listening to podcasts. So this is a great opportunity to raise awareness in our sport, what's going on, And with a weekly show, we're going to be able to keep things pretty current as far as what's happening, what's going on. So I think it's going to be groundbreaking for houndsmen and hound sports across the United States.
It certainly is, Chris, and I'm very excited about the prospects of these upcoming podcasts. And I hope that listeners will tell their friends and have them tune in as well, because podcasting is the new medium for communication in the world, and we want the hound community to be able to enjoy it as much as everyone else.
No doubt about that. So I know that you're committed to quality, Steve. Your life's work has always reflected quality and the impact that you've had on hound sports. And anybody that knows me knows that I've got a very high bar for what satisfies me. And my goal is to bring a quality show every week to houndsmen and make our hound sports more united and less divided. I can tell you that the animal rights activists are very united and very well funded and very well organized. And it's time for houndsmen to do the same thing and take advantage of the technologies we have, but share what's going on across the United States. And Houndsman XP is going to give people that opportunity to be more aware of what's going on out there. Instead of waiting on a monthly magazine or a yearly annual from your breed association, we're going to be talking about things weekly that are impacting hound sports across the United States.
Well, I'm certainly looking forward to that, Chris, because awareness is so important, and we have to be able to react quickly to these bills and ordinances and regulations as they come to the forefront. And my work with the registries over the years, some of my titles involved legislative affairs, or my responsibilities, I should say. And
right.
That's something that I know that's very near and dear to you and to me.
Yeah,
and
my path has been similar. As a conservation officer in the state of Indiana, I was afforded the opportunity to influence or have input on different rules and things, and I've got an internal working knowledge of that with the Hoosier Tree Dog Alliance that Jerry Mall and I formed. Gave us the opportunity to be involved and influence rules making processes and different things there. So it's been a lifelong dedication to me as well, and I'm looking forward to this opportunity to share our knowledge with the houndsmen, but also there's several people out there that have got a lot of experience and wisdom about this sport that are never heard of, and our job is going to be to go out there and bring those notable breeders and notable hunters to light for all houndsmen.
Well, we'll do that for sure. We'll get on their trail.
No doubt.
And we'll be relentless in pursuing them and bringing them to our listeners.
Yeah. Well, Steve, I'm looking forward to this, and stay tuned for our first episode of Houndsman XP, and we're going to bring you a quality show.
I'll stake my reputation on that, Chris.
All right, Steve. That's a wrap.